to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long range three.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another CO Sports Talk episode. Today, we will be doing our CCS High School Football 2022 predictions, and we're excited to bring this to you as a lot of hype is going around in high school football right now. We had a big transfer the other day, and should be a really fun season.
Yeah, super excited. Me and Casey are both participating in this year's season as seniors, our final year to play. And so, yeah, let's talk about some our teams and some others.
Let's get right into it. So here we go. As you see on the screen, that's Jurion Dickey.
See the statement, I'm the bank, but I'ma need the payment, so I want it all. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. I want it all. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. Hey, I want it all. Run it, yeah. Run it, ooh. Run it, yeah. Run it, ooh. I want it all.
Committed to Oregon. He's a Menlo Atherton Bear, and Seamus Gilmartin down there, big star tight end for the Sarah Padres.
Yep, I believe it's Drew as a party holding him up too.
Yeah, so we'll be giving you our rankings for the PAL, SCVAL, the top leagues there, and top divisions, and then the WCAL, of course, and then we'll give you our final 8 for the CCS Division 1. So let's get right into it. First, some preseason max prep rankings. So, Oliver, you want to go through the first 14?
Yeah, so Sarah, no surprise there. Powerhouse, followed by last year's number 1 team, St. Francis, Gatos, Salinas, Wilcox, SHC, which is they weren't this high last year. Valley, who just lost Jurion Dickey, like you said, Bellarmine, Menlo, MA, who I think will shoot up those rankings as the season goes on because they just added Jurion Dickey. SI, Hollister, SHP, and Aptos.
Yeah, so I think maybe Wilcox is a little bit lower than I expected because they lost Luther Glenn. And then Cathedral pretty low there, and maybe Valley Christian's a little low as well. Like I would probably take MA over Cathedral. Or sorry, MA over Wilcox right now. And also Menlo, I mean, they just had a good year last year, I think, so they're putting them at 9, but they lost a lot of guys as well. Yeah, so then 15 through 25, we got Half Moon Bay, who's always a gritty team, Archbishop Midi, Palma, Reardon, who has a new coach, Kings Academy, who also has a new coach, Christopher, Oliver knows about them, Live Oak, Aragon, Burlingame, Homestead, and Mountain View. So that's your top 25. Some teams that were just outside of the top 25 were Palo Alto High, that some argue should have been in there, along with teams like Santa Cruz, Milpitas, Pioneer, Isla Sal, I don't know, Terra Nova, that's a few. But I think top 25 for the most part is pretty solid.
Yeah, definitely.
Hillsdale as well.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to give you guys our WCAL rankings. I will start with mine, which is on the left, as you can see here. At 8, I got Archbishop Midi. You know, this team, they've struggled for a few years now. I mean, it sucks because they're in a really tough division, obviously a tough league. But I just think that Midi's not going to be able to overcome some of these other strong teams this year. And I know they have a QB that's played for a few years now at QB this year. However, yeah, I still don't see it. They'll win a few games, though. They're not going to lose every game, WCAL. They'll beat one of these teams. And then I got Valley Christian. You know, they just lost a lot of guys this year. Obviously, the big receiver they lost, Jurion Dickey. So we'll see what they got this year. Went 6-5 last year, 4-3 in league. But, yeah, I think they'll fall off a little bit as they lost their big man. Bellarmine at 6. I also have them to decline a little bit this year. They lost their QB last year. Obviously, they had that amazing win versus Los Gatos in the playoffs. But with losing guys, I think could be a little bit of a rebuilding year for the Bells. SI also lost their starting QB. However, their backup got some big PT last year and played. And this SI team always finds a way to be solid. At 4, a team that I do have now making playoffs. D1 is Reardon. They have a new coach in the MA old coach, Ravatapi. And I think this team could be solid. At 3, I like Cathedral to make a big jump this year. Week 1, they host Sacred Heart Prep, who also has big expectations this year. And I think that game could be an insane game at Kezar Stadium on a Friday night in August. Jerry Mixon, their star linebacker, just committed to Oregon. So that should be very interesting to see how his season goes. They did lose, Rajon Spears, Bruce Upresa, but still, this Cathedral team solid. At 2, we got St. Francis, who came off a really, really solid year. They got a QB, Matthew Daugherty, coming back. And I think he was the QB that had them beat De La Salle. And then last but not least, 1, Sarah. It's kind of a no-brainer for me. This team's just the best team. They recruit the best. They're very solid. They got their QBs you see on the bottom right, Malachi Smith. And as I mentioned, the tight end, Seamus Gilmartin. They got really solid outside linebackers, Sam Goligoski and Jabari Mann as well. So it's a very solid team. Solid. They lost a little bit of guys on the line, but I think they're still going to be solid.
Yeah. 8, I have Midi. Again, they're kind of, they used to be a powerhouse. They're kind of not so much anymore. They did beat us in 7s. They have this one guy who runs a 4.4. He's kind of short, but he just runs over the top of everyone. I'm going to see him in 2 days. Again, Valley at 7, like you said, Jordan Dickey leaving is a huge piece to lose, and that will ultimately affect how this team does. It means the number 1, 2 wide receiver in the nation. Reardon 6, don't know much about this team, to be honest, but yeah, I just like the other 5 teams I have above them a little bit better, including SI. SI finally playing night games this year. Student section's gonna be fired up. Always a good program. 4, SHC, headlined by Jerry Mixon, like you said, committed to Oregon. He's a dog. 3, Bell. Yeah, they lost a few pieces, but they also retained their running back, class of 23, Ben Pfaff. He's really, really good and will play college ball. St. Francis and Sarah, the top 2. And I like it at this order with Sarah at number 1, with St. Francis losing a few pieces and Sarah, still having a lot of great guys, including linebacker Joseph Bay, who probably impressed me the most when we played them last year.
Yeah, so there's some WCAL. And remember, the CCS committee really does like WCAL. So no matter, the records, they're going to get at least 4 guys in D1, 4 teams, maybe 5. So they're always heavy in the D1, and rightfully so. I mean, they are the best league by far.
Yeah, not close.
At 2, we got the SCVAL A De Anza, which is just the high league there. The players shown here on screen is the running back for Loscato, Emiliano Mejia, and the left tackle for Palo Alto, or right tackle, Kalavasca. So my rankings, 6, I have the Milpitas Trojans. At 5, I have Mountain View, who, don't get it twisted, this 5 through 2 spot, I mean, it's all up and down to me. That is a very hard. I really think that could go any way. 4, I have Palo Alto, who is a very interesting team. They have a new coach in Dave DiGeronimo, who the players are really buying into. A left tackle who is one of the top left tackles in the nation for the class of 2024. A junior QB. I don't think he started yet. So we'll see how that Palo Alto team does. Just a little bit inexperienced right now, but they have some extreme talent right now. Very young team. I think next year that team could be really good. At 3, Wilcox, who, as we mentioned, lost to Glenn, but that team always produces. At 2, Homestead, which may be a little bit of a surprise, but they have one of the best tight ends in the class of 2024. One of the Hook brothers, the other one I think graduated, and then a QB that's returning in Charlie Castaneda. So that team could be good. They have a pretty tough non-league playing, I think, Cathedral, Sacred Heart Prep. So, yeah. And then 1, Los Gatos, running back, Emiliano Mejia, as I talked about. They also have a 3-star linebacker, Jake Boyd, the QB, returning. And this Los Gatos team, that town just breeds football. They're going to be really solid.
Yeah. 6, also have Milpitas. Yeah, they're just not great program right now, but just good enough to not go down to El Camino League. And then 5, Mountain View. yeah, good scrappy team, but last year's team was a lot better. They lost a lot of pieces, seniors. Homestead at 4, Wyatt Hook is there, one of the top tight ends in California, class of 24, big guy, but they lost a lot of pieces, like I've been saying. Evan Blandini, I think his name is, and Derek Shearer, a lot of guys, the other Hook brother, but quarterback Charlie Castaneda is still there. And then at 3, I have Palo Alto. This team is very interesting. I think they're built in the trenches with linemen that have tremendous size, both tackles 6'6" and above. Got a center who plays with a lot of heart in Vainga Mahe, and 2 guards in JJ Stallworth and Yoshi Lee, who are just play very hard and are very tough guys. And then skill positions are also pretty good, but defense needs some work, especially in the secondary. So I think that's what holding back. New coach Dave DiGiorno. We'll see how it goes. Wilcox, it doesn't matter who they put at their running back. All those running backs are trained to just keep their feet moving. They run hard behind a good offensive line. And it doesn't matter if it is Luther Glenn or not. I think this team is going to be really good. And Los Gatos, Los Gatos could pull guys from the street, coach them up for one practice, and they'd beat everyone in this division. It doesn't matter. This team is insane. And yeah.
Yeah, so there's I would say normally one team gets into the D1 from this league. Sometimes 2, say one team wins undefeated, the other one one loss. But yeah, Los Gatos looks to be like both of our favorite. Now moving into a league that has a lot of hype this year, not an MA. It's got Durham, but it's the PAL Bay. So maybe a little surprise here, but we'll start at the bottom. I got Aragon at 6. They seem to be going up and down every year. They're too good for the PAL Ocean, but they are struggling a little in the PAL Bay in years past. At 5, I have Burlingame, who had a really solid year last year. However, they lost their starting QB, Ryan Call, along with receivers. So they're still going to be solid, I think. I think it's just a very competitive middle pack out here in the PAL Bay. 4's Menlo. They're a very interesting team. They went undefeated in the league last year and in the regular season, but they were in the Division 2. They're getting bumped up. Should be a test. They lost their QB, Sergio Beltran, but they have a really impressive D-line, a UNC commit on it, and also a solid QB who got a lot of PT since they blew out all their opponents last year. At 3, I got Half Moon Bay, which may be a surprise since they have a new QB, but their running back's a dog, and PJ Modena, a very gritty team. This team only has about 30 guys, but they show up and play extremely well offense. The question for them, though, is their defense. At 2 is MA, surprise for a lot of people, but I think that this Sacred Heart Prep team will beat them when they play in October. Not that MA won't win all the other games in league, but I just think SHP just edges them out, and because they have tons of D1 talent in John Chung, Shea O'Kelly, Carter Shaw, 3-star RJ Stevens, and Andrew Latu. So yeah, a lot of D1 talent from the Sacred Heart Prep team, and I think that game in October will be one for the ages. Should be a really solid game.
Indeed. Like you said, 5 and 6, Aragon, Burlingame. Burlingame is historically, though, they win games, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're ahead of Pathman Bay. I think you could switch them. Aragon is 6. They're just, they're just not at a good place right now. Pathman Bay at 4. Like I said about Burlingame, they win games, but this year I just don't see it happening with pretty much a 3-headed monster at the top. And Menlo is one of those 3. They're a good team, and they went 10-0 last year. We're in top seed in D2, and yeah, but their quarterback is gone. They're a different team, but I think they'll still be good. And that 2 is star-studded Sacred Heart Prep. Got a lot of talent, like you said, on it. Just needs to piece it all together, and I think they'll have a good team, a good season. Last year they won this state championship in their respective division, and yeah, so I think the goal for this team would be to, move up a few divisions and keep winning. And then MA at 1 out of Drury on Dickey. I think that's pretty much all it takes to be number one. I mean, when you get a guy who's that good, it doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. So, I think 1 and 2 is going to be a great matchup when it comes, but I like this order right here.
Yeah, should be a really interesting league. I'm excited already for this team. But now let's go to our playoffs, Division 1. So, starting with me, I have a Reardon-Sarah matchup. Unfortunately for the Reardon Crusaders, I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Padres. So, I have the Padres advancing. An MA Los Gatos 2v7 match, which would be one for the ages as they play in the regular season as well. I mean, I can see MA somehow shocking them. I can see Los Gatos winning. And then we got Cathedral St. Francis, which would also be a regular season matchup, but should be really interesting. And an SHP Salinas. I think that would be really fun. And by the way, I had 2 PAL Bay teams getting in, even though, technically MA would be second. I still think that MA would make it in because they would only have a few losses or 1 loss. So yeah, SHP Salinas would also be a really good one. So if I had to go with it, I would go Sarah, SHP semi, St. Francis, MA, a little bit of a shocker there. I have MA upset. And then I would go for Sarah. Maybe MA keeps going. I don't know, but Sarah to win D1 for sure.
Yeah. I also have Sarah, my 1 seed, facing off against Wilcox, who, like I said, they just play a really tough style of ball. They run the ball down your throat, and they don't really pass it. They just keep running. Doesn't matter who's running it. 2, St. Francis SHC, WCAL matchup. That would be a good one. Menlo Atherton Bellarmine. I like this. Another public school that Bellarmine gets to face. This time they're the 6th seed instead of the 3. And then Salinas Los Gatos. That'd be a good matchup, but I think Los Gatos would actually upset them.
I like it. All right. So there we have our CCS predictions, good old high school football talk, and we are excited for the season.